Doom 2016 was an amazing game with the visuals and killing of demons that we all know and look forward to in a Doom game. Not only did we see a return of Doom Guy, also known as the Doomslayer, we were given a taste of an awesome story hidden within the Codex and Slayer Testaments. Because of the way the story was presented in the game, it made those who were interested wanting more. After we saw the reveal of Doom Eternal, many questions arose such as, why is the Praetor suit different? When did Earth get invaded by Hell? Where did Doomslayer get a crucible? And where was he been throughout all this time in between the games? In this video, I have an awesome theory that could potentially answer those questions, or rather get the conversation going about this. Before we get into the theory, let's backtrack a bit and get up to speed until the end of Doom 2016. Up until the beginning of the game, the Doomslayer was bestowed great power upon him from the Seraphim to have the ability to kill his enemies more efficiently. He became feared all throughout Hell and defeated numerous enemies that Hell would throw at him, including the enormous Titan. He was given an upgraded version of his armor by the one named the Wretch, who was a demon loyal to his cause. The Slayer fought alongside the Night Sentinels, a fearsome group dedicated to protecting their deity, the Wraiths, and fighting against the onslaught of Hell. In the end, he was trapped by the forces of Hell and laid in a sarcophagus for all eternity in an effort to save Hell from his destruction. Eventually, the UAC from another dimension found his location and took him and his armor back to Mars. After Hell Portal was opened by Olivia Pierce, the facility was overrun and as a result woke the Doomslayer to rip and tear once more. He was able to contain the outbreak, close the portals, and defeat the Spider Mastermind. Upon the death of the Mastermind, he was teleported back to Mars and confronted by Samuel Hayden. Hayden took the Crucible, a powerful sword full of Argent energy and focused energy comprised of the Wraiths, from the Slayer and teleported him to an unknown location. Okay, now we're up to speed and here's where things get interesting. At this point, nothing is certain on where the Doomslayer was sent to, but I'm willing to bet he was sent back to Hell. That would be the only place that would make sense, as Hayden wouldn't send him somewhere else on Mars, as the Doomslayer would get in the way of his work, and if the Slayer gets an armor upgrade in Doom Eternal, my best bet would be by going to Hell and meeting up with the Wretch or the Seraphim. Let's say for the sake of this theory that the Doomslayer meets up with the Wretch, gets an upgrade, kills some demons to test out the new gear, and then eventually meets up with the Seraphim. Considering the Seraphim is someone who was able to give the Slayer more power and speed, would possibly be the one who gives him another crucible. According to some of the Doom Eternal concept art that was shown, heaven was possibly hinted at, which could be where the Doomslayer and the Seraphim meet at, as the Seraphim is an angel of the highest order. If so, then the Seraphim would have the power to teleport the Slayer anywhere he is needed, and because of that, he sends him back to our dimension and to the base on Phobos, as the remaining demons on Mars made their way to the moon base in order to find a way to Earth. You got to keep in mind that in Doom 2016, there was about 60,000 casualties of all the employees that were working there. Now, a big chunk of them were dead, but then a lot of them turned into the possessed, or there was already a lot of remaining demons that were released from Olivia and that came through the portal. So it's possible that a lot of the demons were still left over after the game in 2016. So it could even be possible that Sam Hayden opened a portal on Phobos or Mars to keep the work moving along and extract the Argent energy from the Crucible he stole from the Slayer, and consequently unleashing a demonic invasion once again. Another thing to point out is the time in Hell could be very different than our time. The time the Slayer spent in Hell could have been several years, possibly decades in our time, giving the UAC enough power to cover up the incident, continue the research of Hell, and advance in technology, thus deploying a base on Phobos and creating the BFG 10,000 as a planetary defense weapon. If this were to be the case, and if Hayden opened up a portal, as the UAC tend to make mistakes, then the whole new portal opening up would be on Mars or Phobos. The reason the Slayer could have spent so much time in Hell could have been from fighting more demons, such as the Doom Hunter and the Marauder, would actually be cool if this theory is right and that Doom Eternal starts in Hell, and we have a taste of fighting with those bosses, but not defeating them necessarily until later in the game. Plus, it would be something different coming from the recent Doom games to start the game in Hell. The only one I could think of that does that is the third episode of the original Doom, Inferno. Other than that, the majority of the games start on Mars or the moons, etc. It would just make sense to do that, as the developers at id Software are looking to expand the Doom lore and have already built up so much of the backstory of the Doomslayer and his origins. Imagine seeing parts of Hell that we haven't seen yet, potentially getting a glimpse of Heaven, or even an entirely different dimension or civilization, much like RipNtear. There is a lot of potential there that can happen. Upon entering the Phobos space, and in the gameplay reveal we saw, all the employees seemed to know of the Slayer and were astonished by his presence. In Doom 2016, the discovery of the Slayer was one of the biggest achievements that the UAC had while discovering the dimension of Hell, even so that he was kept a secret and hidden by Samuel. So not too many knew about him, except those that had high-level access and worked closely with Olivia and Hayden. Due to the BFG 10,000 being more than just a prototype like the BFG 9000, and Hayden doing more research on the Crucible, the employees on Phobos probably had the same type of clearance as the Lazarus Labs and Advanced Research Complex on Mars, and that's how they knew about the Slayer. Now, there's two things that I've noticed on theories with the BFG 10,000. Now, either the BFG 10,000 was created first, and then the BFG 9000 was the prototype, or of course the BFG 9000 was created as a prototype, and then of course with the time span that we have between the two games, they were able to create the BFG 10,000. I'm really starting to think that it was the latter, just because with the BFG 9000 being the prototype and being very closely guarded and everything like that in the game and in the research complex, then I'm really thinking that the BFG 10,000 would be the step up rather than the step down to the 9,000. I don't know. To me, that makes sense. Let me know what you think about that one. As far as what the BFG 10,000 was firing at, many people assume it was a big demon that has something to do with the invasion. I'm thinking it could be the Icon of Sin, since, in Doom 2016, he was just more in of a resting state rather than defeated. But other than that, it could be someone else. We don't know. It could be a really big demon or that we haven't discovered yet. In one of my other videos I did about Doom Eternal, I mentioned that it could be firing at the UAC fleet or a military fleet from Earth. Now, there obviously could be a division within the ranks of the UAC at this point, as many of them are on corporate side, and others are just there for the pay. So it could be firing at a large demon or at the portal that could have been opened up on Phobos. Either way, it's firing at something big, with something big, pun intended. In the Phobos gameplay, one of the workers told the guy with the keycard that corporate said we should let them through. Now, it could be because the Doomslayer showed up and corporate wants the demons to stop him, or they didn't know about the Doomslayer at least until he entered the facility, but that was announced way after the base was attacked. Or corporate just wanted them to overrun the base as a means to start their voyage to Earth, since they're so pro-Hell. We did see the use of teleporters in the gameplay, and my bet is that the UAC has a main teleporter that travels from Phobos to Earth. They did mention in the Codex about a way how they had to transfer the Argent energy from Mars to Earth. So possibly, by this point, now that they have teleporters and everything on Phobos, that now they use teleporters to transport that Argent energy back to Earth. So for me, that would make sense. Otherwise, they would have to put it on a ship, send it to Earth, and that could take months. That could be how they teleport the invasion force to Earth and set up shop there as Doomguy is busy taking out the trash on Phobos. After he's done with that, he teleports to Earth and discovers the nightmare that has overtaken Earth. So that's my theory on where Doomguy was at and what could have happened between the two games and which will lead up to Hell on Earth. Let me know what you guys think. You think I am accurate with this theory or completely off? Let me know in the comment section and let's start a conversation about it. Also check out my Instagram, RipNtear Gaming, to check out awesome content that I post typically every day. And finally, if you want to see more videos like this, hit the like button and subscribe. This was a fun video to make and hope you guys liked it. Catch you guys next time, and don't forget to rip and tear. Peace.